but nurses and midwives form the bulk of all the team members. And if we are able to play our role so well, we would be able to make a mark. And this is what we are doing. Yes, nurses are leading care. Now in nursing, we have the nurse managers. The nurse managers are more or less in charge of the facility. Because nurses stay almost, let me put it, 24/7 with the patients, they know these patients more. Even when you go into the communities, nurses stay more in the community than any other health worker, and they tend to know the issues there. Now, for nurses, if you take training, for instance, nurses are taking charge of their own trainings. Nurses are training their own lot. They are helping to shape them in a way that they would fit into the system, the health system, so that they would now be able to practice the way that it should go. Nurses, they don't just work with the sick. You find nurses almost in all sectors of life. There are quite a number of nurses now who have their doctorate degrees in nursing. Most of these are lecturing in the universities, but we still have some of them also in the clinical areas, some in the training institutions where nurses and midwives are being produced. And the basic nursing is not facing off, but it is not the limit. You get people coming into nursing at the basic level, but whenever they enter and they realize that there is a little more challenge, they need to progress, they put in all their efforts to move up the ladder.
And before training, we conducted pre-tests. We tested knowledge tests as well as skills tests. And we realized that the knowledge assessment was okay. People scored high marks. But when we assessed the skills, we realized for some, I remember that skill, it was newborn resuscitation. Somebody scored a 0. So, which implied if a baby is in the hands of such a person, the baby was going to die. So, we needed to teach them these basic skills, survival skills. Ghana is part of the ICM and also part of the ICN. And we also have the West African College of Nursing. So in order to go along with the whole world, so we know what is happening outside, so we can be part of the world. We are trained not just for Ghana. Talking about maternal mortality and newborn mortality. This is driving, newborn mortality. Now the policy, they are driving at reaching a single digit, not double digit, as we have. The maternal mortality is 319, and we want to reduce it. It is being discussed in the reproductive health arena to allow nurses, midwives to do cesarean section, but there's no proper hold on it. They are still discussing. We are talking about tax sharing, not tax shifting. We are talking about tax sharing so that we ease out some of these taxes, like even delivery. They are looking at whether the midwifery assistant or the community health nurse can be allowed to do delivery under supervision of the midwife. So we are talking about tax shift. That doesn't mean that you shift it completely onto the person, because you have the knowledge and the skills. That person is only helping you. Like for instance, if you are conducting a delivery and then the baby is asphyxiated, somebody has to resuscitate the baby. So if you have an assistant there, you can readily teach the person how to do resuscitation so the person can help you when the need arises.
But sometimes looking at financial needs, you would get most of the nurses going in to do the diploma because their parents wouldn't be able to afford the tertiary education at the university level. Because there are fewer nurses than we need to have in the system, some people complete school and they are posted out into places where there are no supervisors, where there are no experienced people from whom they are going to be able to learn the good practices from. In such a case, you may see that somebody has a very good potential to have been able to excel in the field, but because the person has been pushed into a place where she wouldn't be able to further her education, she wouldn't gain any experience from wherever, she stays at that level and somehow becomes stagnant because there's no way you can improve on yourself. That in itself becomes an obstacle.
Nobody will push you. If you finish your basic nursing and you want to remain there, that is your challenge, your problem. But if you want to move ahead, yes, all the avenues are created.
Students pass through the schools, but may not have the opportunity to be able to appreciate what they are being taught. You get people coming into nursing at the basic level, but whenever they enter and they realize that there is a little more challenge, they need to progress, they put in all their efforts to move up the ladder.
Nursing, you are going to work with all walks of people. You need to like the job you want to do. It is not, if you are talking about money, then the job you do as a nurse won't pay you all the money that you are looking for. So you need to be dedicated. You need to love people. In collaborating with the Ministry of Health, based on the funding from USAID, we looked at the curriculum and then we looked at the skills that midwives actually needed in order to be able to help people to live, mothers and babies. So we looked at the basic emergency obstetric and newborn care, and we decided with the Ministry of Health, selected 6 schools across the country.
The Skills Lab is, in other words, a simulation lab. It is a place where the trainee nurse or midwife would go to acquire skills.
They are promoting newborn resuscitation, all the things that you do to let the baby live. They are promoting kangaroo mother care, so preterms can live. So we set up the Skills Lab, and the students are benefiting. And when we set up the Skills Lab, we use the curriculum. We look at what skills do the students need to have based on the curriculum. What are the areas? So you look at antenatal. So you set up an antenatal station, and there are skills embedded in there, like palpation, history taking, all those things are in antenatal. When you go to labor and delivery, labor, monitoring, using the pathograph, conducting delivery, resuscitation of the newborn, taking care of a woman with severe preeclampsia, eclampsia, they are all there in labor. So we set up, that is why we have the emergency packs. Eclampsia, PPH, they all have emergency packs. Then we go to postnatal. What happens? Weighing of the baby, assessing the baby, everything, postnatal. Then, if the woman wants to delay pregnancy, we have family planning. So counseling, all the methods, everything in family planning. We also have the family planning station. And all these things are intertwined by respectful maternity care. So each station you have to show respectful maternity care. So that is how we set up the stations. And then after setting up, we have to take the tutors through all the station. We have to let them practice their skills using the checklist so that we know that they can do it.
More or less, the skills lab is there to help the student acquire the basic skills such that when the person moves from the school into the health facility, having practiced over a time using models under the guidance of a tutor or a skills lab coordinator or a preceptor, would now have gained some level of competence to be able to now transfer that skill onto a live client. Within that same area of labor and delivery, we have in the skills lab and also in the clinical setting as well, a place where babies who are having difficulty in breathing at birth are resuscitated. So we have a resuscitation area in that place.
Now students have a place to practice their skills before going out to the wards. I know when you hear something, it's difficult to imagine what it is. It is only when you see and you do that it remains.
But with the skills lab, it gives them the opportunity to be able to have all these models at their disposal, to be able to practice some of these things when they have to be able to conduct deliveries with models.
So if the skills lab is there, even if the tutor takes the students in through once and she provides them with the checklist, the students will go and practice and allows them into the skills. They will practice this. After all, you are reading and doing. So one student can read that and then they put themselves into small groups and practice. And they will get there. Next thing, you are going to work with all walks of people. You need to like the job you want to do. It is not, if you are talking about money, then the job you do as a nurse won't pay you all the money that you are looking for. So you need to be dedicated. You need to love people.
I know that I'm serving as a role model for a lot of people. I do play leadership role in nursing in Ghana. In my little capacity, I'm also able to influence the direction of the curriculum.
So I like to teach and teach well. I want to teach and teach well. And I do my work with my heart. I love the work I do because I do it with my heart. And I want to do it and do it well. The most exciting part of my profession is teaching people how to take care of others. I like to teach. And I like babies. So I never want a baby to die if I'm on duty.
And this guy eventually sent me messages that, "Ma, I'm looking up to you. You are my model and I'll need to go as far as you've gone." You wouldn't believe it. This guy, he was just a certificate nurse. He has now gone as far as having done his first degree, having done education, and is now lecturing in a school. And sometimes he gives me that kind of satisfaction.
If you make up your mind to reach the potential, the avenues are there. They are there for everybody. But the funding will have to come from you yourself. Nobody funds you to reach there. So if you want to reach your potential, that depends on your own decision. Nobody will push you. If you finish your basic nursing and you want to remain there, that is your challenge, your problem. But if you want to move ahead, yes, all the avenues are created.
But you are influencing people in some small ways, and that is good to know.
For some of the tutors, even till today, when they are teaching a topic and they think they are not comfortable with it, they will just call. Antimatter or this, I'm teaching this topic. Can you help me? But be aware that I'm putting my phone on speaker so the students can hear you. So please talk louder. So you teach whilst in Accra, you are sitting behind your desk, and then they are in the classroom like a virtual class. So you teach, the students will ask questions.
To be professionally empowered, for me, means that you have been equipped with all the skills and knowledge that you would need to be able to practice as a professional.
To feel empowered professional, you need your skills, knowledge and skills. So you always have to update yourself. You always have to have the right skills. If you don't have that, then you feel timid when you are asked to perform some skill. So you are not assertive. If you want to be empowered, you have to be assertive yourself. You have to open yourself up for learning, or else you will be left behind.
But where you are professionally empowered, then you would know the ins and outs of everything that you are doing. You'd be able to explain every little thing that you are doing, and then make meaning to the people that you are serving.
If you make up your mind to reach the potential, the avenues are there. They are there for everybody. But the funding will have to come from you yourself. Nobody funds you to reach there. So if you want to reach your potential, that depends on your own decision. Nobody will push you. If you finish your basic nursing and you want to remain there, that is your challenge, your problem. But if you want to move ahead, yes, all the avenues are created.
Now, for nurses, if you take training, for instance, nurses are taking charge of their own trainings. Nurses are training their own lot. They are helping to shape them in a way that they would fit into the system, the health system, so that they would now be able to practice the way that it should go. But nurses and midwives form the bulk of all the team members. And if we are able to play our role so well, we would be able to make a mark. And this is what we are doing. In a maternity home, or at the antenatal, or at the midwifery section of a facility, the midwife is in total control of that place and performs her role in such a way that the other team members would appreciate it and be comfortable knowing that she's doing the right thing. So all these are made possible when we have the skills lab. Otherwise, we end up learning it in a hard way, which is always not the best because you put somebody's life at risk.